What's up guys, it's RAWICE511 and today is a very special day because I am making something that you guys have been requesting basically ever since I started my channel. And yeah, it took me a long time, 3 days, and finally we have it. The dual action hidden blade tutorial. And so this is what you'll be making in this video. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the video because you've been requesting this a lot, and I mean a lot. So yeah, so this is what it'll turn out like if you build it. As you can see, it works like a dream. It will defeat gravity and it locks as well, as you can see. And the wheel turns, basically everything that you want for your hidden blade. And I've made a tutorial video for you guys, so yeah. I hope you enjoy. And let's get on to it. A Q-tip, a sewing needle, plastic band, keyring, a bamboo skewer. You can also get some baking soda if you have any. And also, if you want to, for straps, you can get Velcro straps. An X-Acto blade as well. Sandpaper, Bemington string, heat shrink tube, some of these. Alright, so now we're cutting the sides. So you want to get your base plate that we just cut, line it up, mark the edge, mark the other edge, and that gives you your 2 lines. Alright, so now that we got these two, these we need to cut 2 6mm strips. So 5, 6. Alright, so we got a 6mm by 19.5. Sorry. Okay, so now we're going to cut this strip and this strip. So now we got these 2 strips here, so you'll just want to sand these down. Alright, so now we want to glue these on to either edge. Alright, so that's one edge. Make sure it's on top, as you can see. So now we're going to do the other edge. There we go. Now we have the base for the hidden blade. You want to make a marking. So I want this to be the front of my hidden blade, so you're going to line up 4.5, as you can see. So 4.5, and then you're going to make a mark. Alright, so that mark there is 4.5 centimeters. And then you're going to make a mark from the back, and this one is going to be only 4 centimeters. So 4. Alright, so from there to there is 4, and from there to there is 4.5. Alright. So this is the front. This is the back. Alright, so you have your 2 markings now. Now you'll want to make a 2 centimeter gap here, and same from the back. So from that marking we just made, you want to make another marking 2 centimeters away from it, so that you get this. So that is from there to there is 2 centimeters. That's the original marking, and that's the 2 centimeter away marking. Same goes for the front as well. And then what you want to do is measure this area from that marking we just made to the very end of the hidden blade. And for me it is 2 centimeters. So we're going to cut a strip from this that is 1.8 centimeters, so 1.8 right there, and you'll want it to be around 3 mil tall, so we'll mark 3 millimeters. and then match up your lines. So now we have a strip that is 3 millimeters tall and 1.8 centimeters long. So 0.8 by 3. Yeah, you get the idea. And your next one, you'll want to be 10 centimeters long. So we'll mark another strip that is 3 mil tall. 3. And you'll want this one to be 10 centimeters long, this strip. So this one is 10 centimeters by 3 mil, alright? And then for your last one, you'll want it to be roughly 2.5 by 3 mil. So your next one is going to be 2.5 long. There we go. Alright, so you got your 1.8 by 3, your 2.5 by 3, and your 10 by 3. Now we'll go and cut these out on the scroll saw. Alright, so once you've cut out all your pieces, and you have them all here, you'll want to give them a good sand. So sand them all up. Now, even if I don't show me sanding all these pieces, make sure you do sand everything we cut, because it's very important that you get it to be nice and smooth. Otherwise, parts won't work sometimes. Alrighty, so with your longest piece, this one that we just cut, it's going to go in the middle. And we are going to want to make sure that we have an even gap between each marking. So we'll just stick a bit of glue and we'll stick that in the middle. And once you got an even gap on either side, you'll want to push it down and glue it into position. So as you can see, I have a gap from that mark to here is the same as that one from there, roughly. Alright, and then you'll get your shortest piece, so the 1.8, the shorter one, and that's going to go at the back. And make sure you don't line it up with the bottom edge. As you can see, this is the back, this is the front. So we're going to put some glue, and it's going to go flush with that line, not the back of your blade. So, right about there, as you can see. So you should have that gap right there. So there should be a gap between those two pieces. And then for the front, it should be the same length as all of the pieces. So from there to there, your longer short piece should line up nicely. Like that. So now it all should line up like so. Alright, so now we're going to make the back piece that covers the back, and for that we need a part that is, again, 6 millimeters tall by 3 centimeters long. So use your scrap wood again, and that's roughly, yeah, alright. So to do this, you'll just want to mark 6 millimeters tall, like that, and 3 centimeters long. Alright, so this part I just marked is 3 centimeters by 6 mil. Alright, so that. So cut this out. Alright, so once you've cut your little back plate there, you'll want to sand it, as with all the pieces we've done before. So just sand it until you get that nice fit. Alright, now once you've got it the right size that you want it to be, you're just going to glue it in to the back, so you can see it's the back. So stick a bit of glue and get your piece and stick it in like that. So you see when we left that gap there from that part to the back, that's where this back plate slots into. So it just, yeah, make sure it's nice and strong because the blade might hit it. So yeah, now you've got that. Alright, now we're going to mark 3 more strips. So as you can see, I've already drawn them. So these are all 3 millimeters tall. And the first one you'll want to mark is 6.5 centimeters. The second one is 6 centimeters. And this one is 1.5. Alright. So those are the 3 strips you want to do. So 6.5, 6, and 1.5. And then we're going to go ahead and cut these all out. Alright, so once you cut out all those little pieces, so your 6.5, your 6, and your 1.5 by 3 mil, you'll want to sand them all as usual. Alright, so you want to get your longest piece, the part that's 6.5 centimeters long. And you want to make sure you're at the front of your hidden blade. Then get your very smallest piece, your 1.5, and you want to glue that, put a bit of glue on the side of your longest piece, and then stick on your shortest piece. Make sure they're level as well, like that. So now you should have a part that looks like this. And then what you want to do with that is glue it into the front of your hidden blade, like that. So we'll stick a bit of glue in the front, like that, and then we'll stick this in. Make sure it's even, it's not like slanting down or anything like that. So then you should have a piece that looks like this, and nice and smooth, like that. So just stick that other piece in there whilst you glue it, just to make sure that there's a big enough gap for it to slide freely. Alright, so now you should have that up the front of your blade. Should look like that. Now you're going to do pretty much the exact same at the other end with your 6 centimeter long piece. Now to make sure you have the right gap, you're going to use a scrap piece of the same wood and stick that in. And then just hold that in and glue it like so. Whoops, I almost forgot something. So, if you remember when we cut these out, we need to cut 2 of each. So, we need to cut another one of this, another one of that, and another one of that one. So, yeah, you should remember the measurements. If you don't, just rewind the video. So, I'm just going to cut out another one of these 3 pieces, yeah? Alright, now with those 3 extra pieces we just cut, that I forgot to tell you about before, you're basically just going to stick them on top of the ones that were there. So just stick them exactly where their double was. Like that. And then stick your short one where the short one was. Like that. And then your medium one at the front. Like so. So now you should have that double thickness on either side, which is very important. If there's any excess, you can just trim it off. Alright, now, if I zoom in, if you can see where we made these markings, I'll just flip it around, where we made these markings before, what you'll want to do is see how there's that separation between these 2 bits of wood? Well, when it approaches this line here, you'll want to make just a slight marking. So if you continue that line across, as soon as it intersects with that marking you made, draw a line so you get this plus symbol. Do the same with this side as well. So you follow that line across, and then it intersects it roughly around there. Alright? As you can see. So that's right in the middle between these 2 pieces of wood. Now what you want to do is drill a 2mm hole through in the very center of that cross. So a 2mm hole. So when you're drilling this, you'll want to make sure you get the hole as 90 degree as possible, because otherwise when you put the pin through it, it will be all wonky. So for that reason I'm using a drill press. If you don't have one, just try and be really careful with your hand drill. And yeah, so let's drill these. So you can see now we have a hole there and a hole there. That one's not perfect, but it will be fine. Okay, so once you've drilled your holes, you want to get two picture hanging nails. So if you guys should know what these are. They're like, if you want to hang pictures on your walls, you get these little tiny nails. They're usually gold. If not, it doesn't matter, just make sure they're small. And you'll want to mark a line about 1 centimeter from the very bottom of the nail. So from the very end, mark a line 1 centimeter. So I'll do that to both. Alright, now what you want to do is get 2 nails that you use to hang picture frames. So you guys should know what they are. Basically, it's pretty self-explanatory. If you want to hang some pictures, then you get nails, and they're usually gold and they're small like this. Alright, and then you're gonna mark on the nail roughly around maybe 1.2 centimeters on the nail. So we'll go ahead and mark that now. So you want it to be from the beginning of the end, if that makes sense. So I'll just zoom in on that for you. Like so, and do the exact same with the other one. Alright, now what you want to do is cut them at that length with some wire cutters. Now make sure you hold on to the end that you want to keep, because it will fly away, and I've had that happen to me quite a few times. Alright, so now you should have these two small nails. Now you can go ahead and put them through the bottom of these holes that you made just before. So grab one nail, put it through the hole, through the bottom, push it out, it should pop out the top. Grab your other one, do the exact same. And then you'll have these two nails sticking out. Now you'll want to glue these in place, so I'm going to do that now. So just push them out a little, put a drop of glue in, and then push the nail back in, like so. And do the same on the other side. Alright, and then wipe off the excess. Alrighty, so now you should have your two pins coming out. Alright guys, I actually made a mistake. You guys should have done it correctly if you followed the instructions, but I did when I drilled the holes, I didn't check my markings correctly, and they were too close to the wall. So the pins were too close to the wall, which means I couldn't get the lock tab in. So what I had to do is I just had to re-drill them a little further away from the previous holes, as you can see. So this means I'm probably going to have to shorten my tabs, but don't you guys worry about that. If you made the same mistake as I did, then just shorten your tabs a little. So instead of them being as long as I'm about to tell you, just shorten them until they fit inside. Alright, so now we're going to make the lock tabs. The measurements you'll need are 1.7 by 5 mil. So, I mean, yeah, 1.7 centimeters long by 5 centimeters. I mean, by 5 mil tall. So just check that. So look, 5 mil is how high you'll need them to be. So I'll just mark that again. And you'll need them to be 1.7 centimeters long, like that. So that's 1/2 now. So you'll need to have 4 of these rectangles that I'm drawing right now. Alright, so now what we have is 4 rectangles, which are 5 mil tall by 1.7 centimeters each. Alright, so each of these are 1.7 centimeters long, and they're all 5 millimeters tall. Now go and cut them out. Alright, now that we've cut out these 4 rectangles, you'll want to put them into pairs like this, and then glue them to each other, as I'm about to show you. Okay, like this. Make sure they're nice and even, level. Don't worry about sanding them before you glue them, because you're going to sand them after. So there's one. And there's your other one. Alright, so now you should have these two little double layered rectangles. Rectangular prisms, should I say. Alright, and now we're going to start to sand them. Alright. So now what we have is two perfect little rectangles. So then what you're going to want to do is line it up roughly. So leave a good 1.5mm gap there. And then just put a dot right in the center of the two lines. So for this one I can go a little further back. Alright, and then what you want to do is drill those two holes. Alright, now we're drilling these lock tabs with a 2mm drill bit. Like so. Alright, so once you've drilled your two tabs, like that, you want to get your pin blade and just test fit the tabs, so you can see they fit nicely. Now you're going to want to sand the edges here, so whoops. So you want to sand these corners, the part that are closest to the holes, and that's so that it can swivel easily. So I'm just going to do that now. Alright, so do that to them pretty much. So just curve them around and do that to both tabs. Alright, then you'll just want to super glue like all of the edges so that it's really strong. Alright, now you want to test fit the two locks. So you can see mine are really smooth. Okay, and then you want to find a small rubber band, so the smallest elastic band that you can find, and cut it. And then you want to get the top of your lock tab, so make sure it's the top, and you want to stick one end of the elastic onto the top of the lock tab. Like, hang on. Like so. So you'll just want to let that dry in that position, like that. So as you can see, it's dried up the top. So yeah, you can see I've stuck the elastic onto the top of the lock tab. Then you want to put the lock tab onto the pin and pull the elastic semi-tight, just enough to make it spring out the lock tab properly. About that much. That seems to be good tension. Then you want to hold it there. Put a little bit of glue down in this area. So you want to stick a bit of glue right there. And then hold the elastic in that corner. Like so. And just keep it there until it dries properly. So now you can see we have this springy tab. And then all you want to do is cut this elastic. So what I'm going to do is just heat this X-Acto blade up with a lighter, and then I can cut it off. Now just repeat that process with the other lock tab. Alright, so now you should have this, which is two lock tabs like that. So yeah, so they should be nice and springs should always flick back out, even if they're upside down. They should always spring out into position. Alright, so now we're building the blade part. Now, you'll want your blade to be around 19.5 centimeters long. But I'm going to make mine 19.3 so that it sits flush. So we'll go ahead and mark that out. So make sure you have a fresh piece of wood because otherwise it won't fit with these slots cut into it. So we're going to go 19.1, 2, 3. Alright, and mark the end there. Okay, then mark that off. Alright, so that's your total length of your blade, which is good. Alright, now what you want to do is pick an edge, so I'm going to use this one here, and you're going to measure up around 2 centimeters. So measure in 2 centimeters from one side. I'm using this side, so I'm going to go up 2 right there. Make sure, if you're not confident that you've got 2 centimeter measurement, add an extra mil or so, because you can always sand that off. And so we're going to rule this across, make sure it's perfect, because you really don't want a wonky piece. Alright, so we're going to draw a center line. So you want to mark in the very center, which for us is 1 centimeter, since that's between 0 and 2, the middle is 1, and then rule that line across, like so. Then from here you want to measure up 5 millimeters, which is there, and then from that 5 millimeter mark you'll want to measure up 1.1 centimeters. So 1.1 right there. And then from there, you're going to do a marking 1 centimeter from the end. So right there. Alright, so that's going to be our different sections. Now we need to mark out the width of each piece. So we want it to be a 5 mil gap in the center. So I'll zoom in for you guys so you can see what I'm doing. Alright, so from our center line here, we're going to mark at a 2.5 mil. So 1, 2.5 is right there. So mark either side of that, like so. And do the same for each of the markings we've already made. So do the same here. 1, 2.5, dot, dot. Alright. And then do the same for the very end of your blade. So right about here. 2.5, dot, dot. Okay. Now what you want to do is connect these 2 markings here, like such. Do the same on this side. And then lastly, do your end ones, so roughly just eyeball it. It should be pretty even, just make sure the rule is straight. Like that. So then what you should have is this. Now what you want to do is, for your blade point, get something rounded. I'm going to use this little circular thing that I made for the sword cane, and just mark in your edge. So this will be the tip of your blade roughly. There we go. So that's the point of your blade there. Then on this side, so that line we've drawn, we need to mark a line that is roughly 2 centimeters. So go from this side up 2 centimeters and draw a line there. And then you can do a little piece like that. And then across you want to mark 1.4 centimeters across. So make a line 1.4 centimeters away from this marking. So right there. Draw it down and go like that. So there's no set depth, but just roughly make it around maybe 4 mil down on either side. So like that. And now just go and cut this all out. For pieces here, I would recommend drilling a hole there, and then cutting down, and then drilling a hole here, and then connecting them up. So yeah, just go cut this out. Alright, so I've just cut out the blade. It's probably the hardest piece you'll need to cut out in this whole build. So now we're just going to like sand all the pieces, sand all the edges, and you know, just clean it up so that it will fit really nicely in the thing. So it already is pretty smooth, but I think there's just a few things I need to sand a little just to get it to run smooth in the tracks. Alright, so after you finish sanding, you should be left with a very smooth blade and base, and it should just fit really nicely, like that. Alright, so for the slider, you're going to need a fresh piece of wood, and you'll need to make a rectangle. So we'll just start by marking off the end. Now this rectangle needs to be roughly around 15.5 centimeters long. So 15.5 right there. Mark. Like so. So there's your rectangle, which is 15.5 centimeters long. And we need the rectangle to be 3 centimeters wide. So we'll mark that. So it has to be 3 centimeters wide. It's okay if you make it slightly too wide, because you can always just sand it off later. Alright, so there's your rectangle. Now we need to start marking in the different parts. So go and cut the rectangle out, and then we'll start doing all the different pieces. Alrighty, so now here's your rectangle. It should fit nicely in there, as you can see. If not, just give it a sand and it should be fine. So what you're going to do is you're going to lay it in there. Not all the way, obviously, because it won't fit. But lay it in there like so. And you see where the elastic band finishes right there? Is where you want to draw your line. Then slide your slider all the way up to that point there. Just where the short tab finishes. Slide it up to there, and then again mark where the elastic band finishes. Right around there, so yep, looks good. Now for that piece, you'll want to measure in roughly 8 millimeters. Which should be about correct, I'd imagine. Yep, so from those two lines you want to measure in 8 mil. So 5, 6, 7, 8, right around there. And then 8 mil on this side as well. There we go. And then just draw a straight line across from that point. Like so. And again on this side. Make sure it is straight as well. Alrighty. And then what you want to do is draw like a curve. It doesn't need to be perfect, just draw like a curve towards the end of your slider like that. So just make sure it's kind of gradual. We'll just make it a lot smoother as well. So now we're drawing the kicker springs as well. Alright, so for your kicker springs, you want to measure down from each end 3 centimeters, so you can see it's 3 there. So do a line there. Do the same for the other side as well. And then measure in 1 centimeter. And measure up 1.1 centimeters. Do the same on the other side. So measure up 1 centimeter and across 1.1. Like so. And then from the top, you'll want to measure across roughly, 1.8 centimeters from the top. Like so. So 1.8, draw a line. Again, measure across 1.8. And draw a line like that. Alrighty. And then lastly, what you want to do is measure down 5 mil. Like this. 5 mil. 5 mil. And then connect the 2 endpoints like this. Alright, and then you should have your 2 kicker spring tops. Alright, now once you've got your slider like that, you'll want to get, so from the back edge here, so that's the back, you want to mark up 1.5 centimeters. So here we have it. So 1.5 is right there. Now that's going to be the back edge of your keyhole that the wheel slots into. So then from that line there, you'll want to go, so the whole thing's 3 centimeters and you need the line to be 2.5. So you'll need a 2.5 mil gap on either side. So just measure that out. Make sure it's straight as well. So 2.5 right there, and then 2.5 here. So that's your line there. Now you want this to be roughly 3 mil wide. So go mark up that 3 mil there. And then connect it all up. Like that. And then you should have your little slot in the middle. Now all you have to do is go and cut all this stuff out now, which I'm going to go do. Alright, so I just cut it out and it looks pretty good. Now all you have to do is sand all the parts. So yeah, make sure you clean this up really well, because what will happen is when the pin of the wheel is in there, if there's any divots, it will like dig in a lot. So it's best to avoid that now. It'll be good if you have some rat tail files like these, or just like the mini files, because you can get in there and just like get rid of all those dents and stuff. So yeah, just get to work on sanding all the edges and cleaning this all up. So just give it maybe like 1/2 mil gap to slide. This feels pretty good. So now what you'll want to do is, I'll zoom you guys in. So if you can see here where the lock tab hits that, you'll want to mark right there and draw a line, and then do the same with the other side as well. So just where that hits, draw a line. So it should be kind of like that. And now what you want to do is cut that little triangle out. So this little bit I'm colouring in, you'll want to cut that off. So cut that bit off and cut that bit off. But you can see it slides both pieces easily. Alright, now using a scrap piece of wood from before, so just to cut off, we need to start making these kickers. So what we'll need is 2 strips that are 3 millimeters tall by 6.5 centimeters long. So I'll mark that out so you can see 6.5, draw a line, move up 6.5 again, draw another line. I'll zoom in a little. Alright, and then make them 3 millimeters tall. So right around Alright. Alright, now go and cut out those strips. Alright, so once you have your 2 strips, you'll want to sand them so that they fit smoothly into that slot there. See, they're a bit tight right now, so just give them a sand. It's raining! Damn! Alright. Sorry if it's a bit noisy because it's raining now, but yeah. What can you do? It's winter. Alright, so I just sanded these pieces and I sanded these little pieces that I told you to sand just before. And now we're going to start attaching them. So firstly, you want to make sure you have the right one. So this is the back one. And I've got this stick which fits really nicely into the compartment there. Alright, so now I'm going to glue it together. Now you want to make sure that you get this really flush, like flush as possible. Like you have to make sure you get this right on the edge like that. Otherwise, if it's overlapping like that, then it will stuff it up. So just make sure you get it perfect. Yeah. Otherwise, you're gonna have to re-cut the pieces, and that'll just be like a huge pain in the ass. So, alright. So I'm gluing it onto this edge. So we'll stick some glue. And we'll press it on. Like that. So make sure it's flat by pressing it against the table like this, and that'll ensure that it's flat and perfect. So yeah, as you can see, like that, it's nice and flat on all edges and it will fit really nicely. Alrighty, so see, that goes in there. Really smooth fit. Now do the exact same for the other one. Alright, so now, once you've glued these on and sanded them a little bit, they should fit smoothly inside like that. And what you'll need to do now is grab another scrap bit of wood, and you'll want to get your pen as well. And we're going to mark out a tiny little piece that's around 5 or 4 mil long, I'd say. Yeah, around 5 mil. Alright, so grab your ruler and you'll want to mark a little piece, 2 little pieces that are 5 mil. So 1, 2, like that. Alright, so once you have those tiny pieces, you want to make them only 2 mil tall. So yeah, we're going pretty small here. I'm going to do them on the other side so I get a nice 90-degree angle. Alright, so 2 mil tall. And yep, there you go. So 1 and 2. So they're only like tiny, but they're very important. Alright, so this is what you should have. 2 little rectangles that are 2 millimeters tall and 5 millimeters long. So just go and cut these out. Now what you want to do is cut like one corner on like an angle. There's a name for it. Yeah, you want to chamfer one of the edges, that's what it's called. So I'll try and show you what I mean. Alright, so if you can see that edge, how I've drawn that little angled line, that's how you want to cut it or sand it. So you want to sand off one edge, and you need to do that to both of your little rectangles. Alright, now with those 2 little angled rectangles, you want to point them towards the back. So point the rectangle towards the back, like that. If you still don't understand what I'm saying, then just wait a couple of seconds and I'll show you what I mean. Alright, so this is what I'm talking about. You need to do that to both of them. So see how I've cut that angle? Yeah, you'll want to do that to both of your pieces. Alright, now what you can do if you want to strengthen these, because these little parts have a tendency to snap off, you can get some bicarb baking soda and basically go around the edges and with super glue and baking soda, and it creates like a weld pretty much. Alright, now if you've done it correct, they should be like welded on. Like these will not come off from an elastic band, so yeah. Alright, next we need to make the tabs that actually hook into the blade itself, and they stick onto these parts here. So get some scrap wood again, and they need to be around 4 millimeters wide by, I'd say, maybe 5 mil tall. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So 4 millimeters wide. Zoom in. Alright, so 4 mil tall. Alright. By 5 mil wide. Like that, alright. So you'll need 2 of those pieces. As such, and go cut them out right now. Alrighty, so now that we got these 2 and these little pieces we just cut out, we need to glue them on. so now you got to be kind of careful in this part, because if you put them too off center, then it will screw up the blade, because they won't be able to slide properly. So what you need to do is put in your kicker like that, and you need to look where the borders are of the blade. So move it all the way to one side and draw the line of that side, then move it all the way to the other side and draw the line of that, like so. Okay, now do the same with the other one as well, and it'll be all good. And then we can glue it on, like so. Alright, so you get your little piece, and you're going to stick it on like that. And there you go. Then do your other side. Sand these edges on these little bits so that it's smooth, and then we'll try it. Alright, so I just tested it. It kind of works, but not a lot, and I just realized why that is. It seems to be having power issues, and when you have power issues, you need to look at your tension, and friction is definitely a big one. But what I think is the problem, because I forgot that when we cut off that, it shortened the trigger distance. So what we need to do is we need to back, so make this ramp finish here, like that, and do the same on the other side. Alright, now go cut that out, and it should fix any problems. Alright, now for a final touch, once you've got the blade functioning, like that, you can get a scrap piece of wood, and you will want to measure out a piece. This part is so that the blade doesn't wobble up and down, and it's going to bridge from there to there. So you want the piece to be 3 centimeters long by 5 millimeters wide. So 5 millimeters wide, like that, and 3 centimeters long, like that. And then go and cut this piece out. Alright, now you want to sand this piece, not too much, because you want it to be a tight fit. Just clean up the edges so there's no burrs or anything like that that are going to affect the blade sliding. So, alright, now that it's nice and sanded, you want to stick it right at the front of your blade like that. Now it shouldn't be touching the blade, that's very important. You see how it's just above the blade? That's what you want. Alright, now just leave it there at the front and just glue it in. Don't put too much glue because you don't want to stick up the mechanism, so yeah. Just a few little bits at the side should be enough to hold it in place. Now once it's all glued in, just double check that the blade still works. And if that pops out when you activate the blade, then it's obviously touching it. So, alright guys, so if you've assembled it, it should work nicely. Look, if it doesn't work, don't worry about it, okay? Like, pretty much 99% of the time, when you make a hidden blade, especially if it's the first time you've ever made one, it will not work first try, alright? It's just a fact of life, pretty much. It's like death and taxes, alright? It just won't work, 99%, alright? So, basically, don't give up, don't just throw it in the bin, start again, don't, you know, just give up completely and not even try again. All you have to do is look at whatever problem is causing it to not work, whether it's friction, whether it's power, whether it's wrongly sized parts, whether it's you not cutting them out correctly or more accurately or whatever. Look, just solve each problem one by one, and yeah, it's a very long list of problems, but as soon as you fix one, there'll be another, and then once you fix that one, there'll be another problem after that, and eventually it will come to an end and you will fix all the problems, and that's when you get something that functions really well. Obviously, I've been doing this for a lot longer. I know nearly every single problem there is with these mechanisms, but you guys will just need to teach yourselves, because honestly, it's all down to experience. I could tell you every exact measurement, and it still won't work. It's just, I don't know, it's one of those mechanisms that needs to be perfect. And you just gotta sand it and trust that you know what you're doing. And yeah, so if yours doesn't function, just make sure you sand all the parts, and if anywhere on your mechanism has that kind of very soft powdery wood, if you know what I mean, like once you've cut something and you've sanded it, it's kind of soft and fluffy, make sure you go over that surface with super glue and sand it, and then if you have to, use some baking soda and just make sure it's really smooth, then it should work. As long as all surfaces are hard and smooth, it should work perfectly. Thanks guys for watching that video. I know it was really long, but I hope you enjoyed it. Part 2 will be coming out soon, so the link might not be available until maybe a few hours, but yeah, it should appear in the description within a day or two. So yeah, if you're building this, make sure you keep updated and subscribe so that you're notified when part 2 comes out, and yeah, so it will be available in the description soon. Alright guys, thanks for watching.